You are listening to the Power Hour with Corey Listogi with special guest Kyle Vasey.
Well, welcome to the first Power Hour with Corey Listogi. I am indeed Corey Listogi. My special guest today, Kyle Vasey. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Corey.
Former long snapper and walk-on at Penn State. How does it feel to finally be done with classes and done being part of the program?
It's great, honestly. I really kind of enjoy the freedom. It's an aspect that we really haven't had our past 4.5 years of me and the rest of the seniors' lives, so it's cool to have that, but we're also still training. I mean, we all have aspirations to go to the next level, so it's been a good time.
And how much are you training for that? And I assume just for the long snapping position, correct?
Yeah, so I'm doing a 3-day split as far as my lifting goes. I'm lifting Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I don't overwork my body, but those workouts are absolutely grueling. On Tuesday, Thursday, I'm doing active recovery. Saturday as well, I'm trying to get recovery runs and stuff like that. I'll go into haluba and snap, but I'd say I'm snapping 4 days a week, lifting 3 days a week, and relaxing no days a week.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So all former players are allowed to come and work out at haluba and lash as much as they want, or is there a certain point where like, hey, like you can't come in during these times, or like how do they manage that?
So there's certain times where all the racks are going to be used in the weight room, because I mean obviously we're still founding another team that's coming up,
right?
But at the same time, they want us in there so we can participate. We can set an example. I mean, my whole entire class, it was a bunch of leaders. We all kind of took like the program by the reins and really kind of try to guide it where it needs to go. So it's nice to have this background and they really enjoy it.
Yeah, I bet. So like, do you still mentor, you still talk to players and lift with players, or are they on such different schedules now where you don't really interact with them very much?
So what I do is I still work with the specialists a lot, just
Okay.
because they kind of need that guidance. I mean, we have a new guy filling my position next year. We'll have another guy filling Blake's the following year. And the kicking position, really, we're just kind of helping out there as much as we can. So I'm around. I'm not necessarily lifting with the players, but I'm snapping with the younger
Gotcha.
guys like Crystal and Joe, and then I'm working with guys, obviously, like my little brother, just kind of supporting him and like pushing him along. So
Yeah, so your little brother, he walked on your sophomore year?
my junior year.
Junior year?
No, actually my senior year.
Okay,
My regular senior year.
and is he long snapping now, or what's his plan?
So he's genetically blessed. He's 6'5", 260, so he's got a little bit more wiggle room where he can play. He's been doing a lot of defensive end, but I'm trying to get him back in a long snap because it's an open position right now.
Right, and there's a lot of people at the defensive end position, that's for sure. Well, I remember meeting you, I guess, freshman year in 2015.
Yep.
And we had
Cass 100.
Cass 100 public speaking together. I think Peyton Banks is in that class as well.
Yep.
And I remember you showing me videos, like the second day I met you, of you hitting Gatorade bottles off of chairs and things. I'm like, man, this is crazy. This guy like is already thinking about long snap and taking it this seriously. And then you fast forward 3 years later now, like you started 26 games for Penn State when it was all said and done. So
Yep.
It's been cool for me to kind of see you mature and see you earn the playing time you deserve.
Thank you.
But let's kind of rewind now and talk about how this all came to be. So, where you're from, you played high school at 2 different high schools. Talk about that and talk about how you got into kind of long snapping in general.
So Kyle Vasey, son of Shelly and Bruce Vasey, brother of Chad and Ann Vasey. I'm originally from Hunterdon County, New Jersey, which is like central Jersey, even though people say it doesn't exist.
No way, I'm actually from Hunterdon County myself.
Really?
Yeah, I went to North Hunterdon High School.
I went to Delaware Valley High School.
Oh, no way, across the street I would have
So,
been there.
Yeah.
That's very cool, very
we
cool.
used to
Man.
play our scrimmages against his high school, actually.
That's awesome.
That's right, yeah.
By the way, for everyone just listening or maybe not even seeing on camera, that is Kyle Canello. He is helping out with this podcast as well. Kyle is free to interject whenever he wants. So that wasn't just a weird voice I had. That was someone else entirely. That's Kyle.
Hi, everybody.
But that, I didn't know that, Kyle. That's
Yeah.
cool. So you're not really from Northern Jersey. You're from Central Jersey now.
I don't know, I think it is kind of central Jersey. I'm closer to Peterborough, Clinton area, that area in between there, so.
Yeah, he's central Jersey.
Yeah, I consider myself central Jersey, but like you said, nobody really thinks it exists. Yeah, so.
So how long were you there, then you moved to Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah, so I was in Hunterdon County for 16 years. I moved to Pennsylvania when I was 16, moved to Wallenpaupack Area High School, which is way in northeastern PA. It's above the New York state line for Jersey. It's really cold up there, but I went there and I had to sit out the first game that I got there because I transferred mid-season. Wasn't very happy about that. Went into practice and I was just laying bodies out. I was having a great time, just enjoying it, and then earned some playing time my junior year, finished that, and then senior year, gradually just got into starting center, starting long snapper. I was the third down defensive end, and I just had really high efficiency on the field.
That's awesome. So you were already long snapping in high school as well.
Yeah, so what really happened is at Delaware Valley, we had a long snapper who was a senior who was decent at the job. He ended up playing at what is it? Starts with a C. It's in Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think of the school. You know, it's not Ivy League, but it's borderline Ivy League. I'm trying to think.
Look it up, Kyle.
Okay. I don't know.
But it's a school in Carnegie Mellon.
Carnegie Mellon, okay.
So he was snapping at CMU, and my coach came up to me and he goes, "So, like, what's going on?" I was like, "Well, honestly, coach, like, you told me I'm too small. Like, at this time I was 6 feet tall, 135 pounds, so I had nothing to me. I was extremely, extremely tiny. It's like, you're not fast, you're like tall and lanky, like we can't really fit you in anywhere. Like, have you ever tried long snapping?" Literally the second he said that, I went outside and I started snapping a med ball, which was like around 7 to like 11 pounds, like slamming it at a wall.
Haven't even thought about snapping a med ball in my entire life.
Yeah, and then literally 6 months later, camp came around and I won the starting job as a sophomore. Was one of 2 sophomores to play on varsity for a conference championship team.
That's fantastic. And you were the first player from WHS to go D1, is that correct?
Yeah, so I was the first player to go Division I Single A. We had players go to Colgate and Lehigh and stuff like that before me, but I was the first one to officially go to Penn State. And now we have a bunch of players who have really kind of followed in those footsteps. I mean, our high school, our whole entire football program is based in the weight room. Our guys, when they come out, they're big, they're ready to go. I was a long snapper walking onto the team as a freshman, putting up the 3rd best bench press out of all the freshmen.
Wow.
So it's an emphasis on Doc Watson's program, who's the head coach at Wallenpaupack Area High School. Since then, we've had Rashawn Battle, who got a scholarship to Rutgers. We've had my little brother, who walked on here. We had Zach Rode, who is now at Cornell. Like, we've had a bunch of players that have a lot of success based off the kind of things that they teach it.
Yeah, a lot of things usually start in the weight room, so that's fantastic. Did you have offers or interest from schools coming out of high school?
Yes, I did. So I had a ton of interest from schools around the area. I mean, I had D1 AA looks for defensive end. Okay. So I was weighing in about 6'3", 250. My footwork wasn't quite fast enough to be a Division I, single A kind of guy, right. But at the same time, those schools were giving me looks. For long snapping, it was Pittsburgh, Temple, Delaware, Penn State, Syracuse, just Rutgers, all these different schools around. Because what I did is my junior going into senior year season, I went to a camp at Rutgers. My first camp ever. I hated the idea of just like all these like big national ranking camps, stuff like that. I just didn't believe in them. And I went there just because my high school coach talked to me. I was like, "Come on, like let's do it. Like get you a little bit of exposure. Let's see how it goes." And I won every single event outright, not even close. I ended up snapping against the long snapper at the time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a competition at the end, and I beat him.
That's fantastic.
And I was still in high school, and he got a little hazy about it. He didn't really believe it, but he was good sport about it, and we just had a great time out there. So it was a lot of fun to kind of go and get that exposure. And after that, I just kind of went home, didn't think anything of it. And next thing I know, my mailbox just started floating up with all these different schools and offers and stuff like this.
So were most of these schools offering you a scholarship, or they wanted you to do a preferred walk-on, or?
Most of them were preferred walk-ons. There was one that was going to slide me a scholarship. I don't want to say anything because I don't know how official it was at the time, but at the same time, I was very much committed to Rutgers as far as walk-ons go. Mm-hmm. And then I took my visit here, and while I'm sitting in Coach Franklin's office telling him that I'm coming to Penn State, Temple's head football coach is calling my phone. And I look at my phone, put it down, shake Coach Franklin's hand, get a picture of my family, and then head out of the office, and I was coming to Penn State.
That's crazy. So my one buddy plays football, or he just graduated actually, plays football at Idaho, mm-hmm. and he was a preferred walk-on at Idaho. How does Penn State go about, shifting some sort of scholarship money your way, or are you completely on your own as far as paying for your school?
So you're completely on your own. I mean, you're allowed to join the obvious things that come with the NCAA benefits, such as our meal program. We can have our nutrition bar. We don't have to pay for things like that. But I mean, as far as room, board, tuition, everything like that, like that's all on your own. Like you either have the money for it, get your student loans, or work your tail off for it. It's really your 3 options.
That's crazy. And so from the get-go, you knew, hey, I'm going to come to Penn State and they want me as a long snapper? Was there any other, considerations along the way?
Me and Coach Franklin talked about defensive end for a little bit, but I feel like that was just kind of part of the recruiting thing.
Right.
We got a good laugh out of it, especially now that my brother plays it. I always tell my brother I could beat him at it, but I still have to.
He's a little bit bigger than you, right?
Yeah, I still got the aggression though. He doesn't. So
he says.
Yeah, it was cool. I really wanted to play defensive end when I got here, but I kind of looked around at the talent. I mean, I came with guys like Torrance Brown, and then we got guys like Etor, Sharif Miller, like all these like Shaka Tony, like these big, fast, or like just crazy freak athletes, and I kind of realized where my place was.
Yeah, I understand. Well, but it's still a super important one.
A very valuable position.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we continue, I think you were talking about these competitions and how great you are and how accurate you are at long snapping. I think we should try to see how accurate you actually are with the football.
All right.
And we're gonna try to do this.
Let's give it a shot.
So Kyle is confident that he can hit this water bottle off of this chair. I don't know how far you think that is from where you're gonna snap this, but
we'll see. I'm gonna launch it real quick.
And hopefully you don't. He was telling us earlier off camera that he might, he's what, smashed 2x4s before?
Yeah. Alright, you want me to stay? I'll stay right here. Give me that placemat real quick.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd snap it from the door, but I want you to be able to get it on camera.
So for people that aren't watching on YouTube and are just listening on Spotify and CastBox, Kyle's about to, in my living room, about to long snap and hopefully hit this blue water bottle off of a high top chair. He's probably how far? Oh my god! Well, that was easy. Let's try that again. Do that again one time.
Gotcha.
He just nailed that, and it wasn't even close.
What do you want me to hit? The top one or the bottom?
I mean, try to hit the little snowflake on it.
All right.
So, how far away do you think you are right now? We'll give that to you.
I'd say right now we're at 8 yards. Trying to think.
So he's about 8 yards away, and he's killing this water bottle.
Maybe 10. I can't tell. Usually for this though, it's PAT, so it's gonna be a little bit lower.
Gotcha.
But I can get it up there. It's not a big issue.
So how much of an error are you willing to give yourself on these? Like,
what do you mean error?
Like,
He nailed that.
That's probably a good comment. You want to come back? When you're practicing this, are you at all worried about, like, how much are you willing to give yourself? A couple inches, like, 4 inches, 5 inches? What's the point where you're like, oh, that was a bad snap, or what do you consider a bad snap?
So for PAT, I try to give myself about an inch variation on each snap.
An inch?
Yeah.
That's not very much of a. That's not very much of an error you're giving yourself there.
Funny, I actually I had a piece of chapstick, and I had my brand new Beats headphones that I got from Best Buy, and
from the Orlando.
Yeah. So I put my piece of chapstick on top of my Beats, and lined up at 8 yards. I was like, all right, well I know I'm gonna hit it, so I'll be fine. Beats underneath, chapstick right here. Sniped the chapstick. Ball came back, knocked the Beats off, popped them on, and started listening to music.
Well, you have a video of that by chance?
Yeah, I did.
We'll definitely get that video. We'll put it up on YouTube for sure.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
But other than that, for punts, I like to give myself about 6 inches. I mean, not really. Probably 3 inches, honestly. So what I aim for is Blake's right hip when I was snapping for him, because he's about, give or take, 6'2". So I'd always try to put it directly on his right hip. What I want is so the laces are up, he can catch it and just kind of kick it. I can control laces on my field goals. I say I can do it on my punts.
That's incredible. I didn't even think. You don't even think about those things when you're watching a football game.
No. So for field goals, I make sure every single time the ball hits him, he catches it like this, and the laces are facing straight out. I went back and watched my film from the season. I was 94% on the season for laces.
Wow.
And then for punts, people say you can't control it, but I've got to the point where if I consistently do my exact same lockout, my exact same location, finger placement, all that, rotational torque, hand placement, ball ends up laces up every single time, 15 yards.
That's incredible.
It's
so how do you
yeah.
hold the football?
Wow, that's incredible.
So,
Also, this is a really dense football.
The
Yeah,
little
so
details.
That's the NFL ball, actually. So
Okay.
for me, what I do now is I got a coach for a little bit, just to kind of see what it was like, just very, very recently. My fingerprint on the laces right there. I only have one finger on the laces the whole entire time. My 3 fingers right there are evenly spaced out. I have a hand right there. Thumb wrapped around the ball. Some people like it up there. I hate it up there because you don't get as much control. My hand right here, I split seam. There's middle seam and there's split seam,
Okay.
based on different people, what they like to do. So middle, split. I like the split now because it gives me a little more control of my hand being unbalanced on this side. What I make sure I'm doing is that I'm making that shape right there every single time I look at it. Looks like Oklahoma a little bit. I line it up. I'll torque my wrist depending on the kind of snap I'm doing. So for punts, I won't get as much torque. For field goal, I'll get more torque. That way I can make sure the laces are exactly like this. When the holder catches it, places the ball down. Realistically for me, I'm not a very technically, I guess you could say technically sound long snapper. I just make it happen. It's the way that I've always kind of operated. There's a lot of guys who have these techniques and go to these camps and get taught certain ways. Me, I take the ball, put my hands on it, I throw it, it's where I want it to be, how I want it to be, when I want it to be.
Now, do you think that's going to affect you at all if you go to the NFL? Do you think people are like, hey, we want you to do it a certain way, or is it more like, hey, if you're getting laces up and it's going right to the holder every time, it's going to the punter right every time, we don't really care how it's done?
Well, I'll put it this way: you've seen Drew Brees, you've seen Peyton Manning, you've seen Tom Brady, you've seen Aaron Rodgers. How similar are their throwing motions?
Yeah, very different.
Very different. Aaron Rodgers is known for his fast release. Tom Brady came in as a very, very low round prospect, You have Drew Brees, who's extremely technical with everything he does. And then you have Peyton Manning, who's just an absolute monster and could rip the ball down the field. All that matters is you get the job done the way it needs to get done.
Interesting. Oh, and you clearly were able to get the job done at Penn State. So you redshirted your freshman year in 2014.
14.
And then didn't play in 2015, correct?
Nope.
And then
Didn't play 16.
didn't play in 16. And then all of a sudden, how much of a competition was it from 2015 off season before 2016 where you knew you were going to get the job?
It was a pretty good competition. We had two guys coming in the summer who were going to try to earn the job as well, but I trained so hard that I knew that I was going to be okay. So it was good competition up till the middle of summer. And at that point, I kind of like set the tone for myself. I remember I had a practice that was kind of rough for me, and I was mad. And I said I was outside literally till the lights went off. So it was probably 2 hours after practice, and I went 64 reps from 15 yards on the goal post, in a row. And that's when I realized that I could do it. And I was just thinking it too much. So I just started going out to practice and just started whipping the ball like I used to, and then I got the job.
Yeah, and I want to correct myself there. I had the years off by a little bit there. The summer before the 2017 season. Yeah.
Now, are those competitions, sorry to interject, but are those competitions across all positions that you've noticed across all positions?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously every single year you come in, there's no specified starter. I don't care who it is, there's new talent every single year. I mean, you've seen it, our classes have gone from the 50s to top 10 every single year.
Right.
So each year you have athletes coming in that are capable of replacing the athletes that are currently there, regardless if you were a starter, backup, anything like that, as well as the opportunity for growth for those guys who were backups or who were starters to kind of improve. So really it all depends on how much effort you put in and where you kind of hold yourself and what standards you hold yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
So Coach Franklin always says, there are no starters, and you reiterate that same point. But there's got to be some sort of, hey, I know where I stand. I mean, so you're telling me you walk into the spring or you walk into the summer and it's truly like an open competition? Or is there, how do they get things done throughout their, they have to have some sort of template. They have to at least know, hey, Shreve Miller, if Shreve Miller would have came back for his senior year, isn't there some sort of understanding, at least to a certain extent of, Shreve, yeah, you're going to be starting at least at the beginning of summer? Or how do they at least go back to getting their number ones just so they can practice at the beginning?
I mean, there's obviously complacency kills execution. That's the way that I've always looked at it. So if I was to look at my senior this past year as if I was going to be like, oh, I'm the starter, I'm not worried about this, I wouldn't get the job done. I wouldn't be able to do what I did. I mean, same thing with guys like Trace. Trace had Tommy down his back, and Clifford and Levis and all these younger guys. Our receivers, they've had all this competition and talent combined. If you really want to think about it in a way, Sharif Miller, you said, was your example. He came back. What about these 4 and 5 star guys we just got? Do you think they don't want to push for the starting job? It's every single year. I'm telling you, you have your ones when you go into spring ball so that you can feel the team. That's it. It's based off the guys you had last year and the guys who were behind them. That's all it's based off of.
Right.
It's not based off of preference. It's not based off of what they've done. Every season's a new season. Quarterback can go and throw for 5,000 yards in a season, 50 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He goes into spring camp and he goes 35-40% on completions, and the guy behind him goes 65-70%. The guy who's going 65-70% is going to be the starter. It doesn't matter what you've done this year before.
And we'll dive right back into the more excruciating, the grueling part of your walk-on experience in one second. But while we're kind of talking about this, I do want to ask you maybe a little bit of a tougher question. We've seen Coach Franklin and a lot of people on the staff. It appears sometimes as if loyalty does matter to him, or to a certain extent that, hey, a guy who's given a lot to the program for the last 3 or 4 years will at least maybe get a start over someone younger who could be better in the future, but maybe is about the same at that point. How much do you think that plays into the starting roles, and how much does that play into the decisions they make?
I mean, I think very minimal. Obviously, you want to have loyalty. I mean, they're your players, like they're your coaches, stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the coaches have a job to get done. It all matters on who they're most comfortable with having out there to win games. That's why they're there. They're to win games, create great young men, and be leaders. And
right.
That's really what the job comes down to. So overall, I'd say that what really matters most is just what you can do for the team, how much you can help them to win. That's your key role in getting on the field. It doesn't matter how much loyalty or anything like that.
Gotcha. So you're talking about the practices and how everyone basically wants to start right away. Obviously, what was it like being a walk-on in that environment? Because I would assume that at least when they walk in the door, the 4, the 5-star recruits. Heck, I mean anyone who has a scholarship is above anyone who's walked onto the team. How did you perceive yourself, and how did other people perceive you as being a walk-on?
I mean, you've seen time and time again where we've had 4 and 5-star recruits replaced by walk-ons. Look back to the 2016 season. Who won I think it was the Ted Narguzzi Defensive End Award. Or Defensive Line.
Carl Nassib.
Carl Nassib, former walk-on. Who was our starting middle linebacker last year.
Yep.
Jan Johnson, walk-on. You have all these guys who come in who are, don't get me wrong, they're 4 and 5-star talent. They're great. They're freak athletes. They're studious. They do this. They do that. But what it comes down to is generally just how much heart the player has to give. I mean, if I look back to my own personal battle, the kid that was behind me when we were competing for the job, he was the number 3 kid in the nation in his class. You don't hear about it because it's long snappers. He was very, very good. Very good. But what it came down to is just who wanted the job more at the time. I mean, he was young. He has a lot of room to grow. I'm really excited to see where both of those guys go next year, or the guys coming in. But at the same time, what it really comes down to is how much you're going to put on the field. Because you've also seen guys that are 5 stars that have been complete bust. Mm-hmm. You go back and you look at all these ESPN top 300s, or the 24/7 top 300 guys, and you see these top 50 guys on the list, and some of these names you've never even heard again. You heard about them all the time recruiting, and you look at it and you're like, who is this guy?
Right,
where he
absolutely.
ended up going, and they end up not even being there, or transferring, or stuff like that, or just doing all these things that maybe you wouldn't have thought they would have done, being 4 and 5-star athletes.
That's definitely the case. But when you so obviously the walk-ons, you to a certain extent you feel like they definitely have to work harder. At any point, did it feel like you didn't feel as important to the team, especially in your first 2 years or at Penn State? You never even played. At some point where you're just like, how much of an impact am I truly making, to the football program?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I kind of had a couple battles with that, just being where I wasn't what I was doing. So when I came in, I was not mentally prepared for a Division I level team. Mm-hmm. I mean, I came in and I thought, just kind of do what I did in high school and just adjust and get used to it. There's no adjusting. You have to change as a person, you have to change your diet and everything.
So at some point, especially as a walk-on, is it tough where you feel like, hey, I'm really not making an impact as much as you want to for the program?
Yeah, so for me, I kind of had my own personal battles with that. When I got in, I wasn't really mentally prepared to be on the Division I level with the conditioning and everything like that. And there were times where I really thought I wasn't going to have the opportunity based on just me as my potential and stuff like that. But what the program kind of does is when you get in there, it's hard. It weeds out who's not going to make it. And you get to that point where you're questioning, oh, do I belong here? Oh, do I not belong here? And that's at the point where you have to decide which you're going to be for the next 4 years. And for me, it was grueling. I mean, I did the conditioning test 4 times the first year. Like, it was nasty.
What goes in the conditioning test?
So it's 12 sprint variations with very, very, very minimal break. I've talked to multiple teams with multiple athletes all over the country, and I can genuinely say our test is the hardest test. And it just so happened, too, that the past 5 years, every single test has been on a day where it's been over 90 degrees. Every single one, and it's almost like it's not coincidence at this point. Like, it is nasty. So it definitely gets you there. It takes you to the next level. I mean, so I've always ran with the DNs too, which was really funny. And then this year, over summer, I lost a lot of weight just to try to, I made the workouts easier on myself just by having that weight off, so I could improve and like get faster and stuff like that for our style of punt. And I got weighed in before the workout, before the conditioning test, and the coach goes, okay, so you're going to run with the running backs and linebackers. And I had my kicked.
You can say ass.
I was going to say I had my ass kicked. Like, it was brutal. Like, I remember at the end, like, I finished my last rep. I completed. I knew I was done. I knew I got every rep. I fell down, and I felt like this sharp shooting pain, like, go up my body. And I was, like, trying to throw up, but I couldn't. And I had someone pouring water over me, and I had the sun like beating down on my face, and I had like all these different I literally just felt like I was gonna die. Like, it was nasty, but it's a really good condition test, and it really pushes you to where you need to be.
Yeah, and how do they manage, especially the stuff that happened in Maryland this year? How do they manage, pushing you, especially in such a tough conditioning test in those environments on a hot day, and then also treating you at the same time? What's the balance between we want you to be tough, but we also want you to be healthy?
Because, I mean, there's certain points where, our strength staff is extremely comprehensive of everything we do. They know what our bodies can take, what we can do. We wear monitors to monitor our heart rate, our rest, everything like that. And then they'll go and they'll watch us in the workouts. They're very close with attention. We have athletic trainers and everything out there like that. We have literally all the medical equipment you can need. And you got to be honest with them. If you can't finish the workout, it's not okay, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. There's an expectation held up from the rest of us that are doing the workout that we want you to complete it because we want to see you be successful, but at the same time, if your body can't take it and we know that you're struggling like that, we'd rather have you kind of rest and take your time rather than get pushed through. And the strength staff's on the same page as us. They want to push us to our absolute limits, but at the same time, they don't want to push us over it.
Right. So what other challenges did you, I kind of cut you off, but I wanted to kind of dive into the conditioning test a little bit. What other challenges did you face then as a walk-on?
So overall, I guess it was just kind of the adjustment college all of us face. For walk-ons financially, not fun. I collected a lot of student loans. I'll be having fun with that for the next 30-something years. But it's really just the same struggle as every other football player. A lot of students don't really recognize how much time we actually put in. When we could be going to football from 6 to 8, and then going from class to 8 to 2, and then going to practice from 2 to 7, and then going to team dinner from 7 to 7:30, and then study all 7:30 to 9:30. By the time we get back to our rooms, we have homework to do. We have stuff that are obligated to do in study hall. We're up till 11 o'clock at night. We can't get to bed till 12:30, 1 o'clock. By the time we're running on each day, we're going 5 hours of sleep every single night, 25 hours a week up until the weekend. That's not good for your normal person.
Right.
And our body's going through 3 times what a normal person does. We had our monitors on where for our practices we burn over 1,600 calories a day in practice. And that's like a regular practice too. That's not like conditioning or anything like that at the end. Like, our bodies are exhausted, our bodies are exerted, and people always kind of question, student athlete this, student athlete that. But in reality it's like student this, student that. Like,
right.
There's an advantage to being a student. Like, your body, you feel so much better. Like, your health, you're mentally able to do more than we can because we get so exhausted, we're so beat up by the end of the season. And that's always been something kind of like student athlete privilege. Like, I always kind of heard that initiative, and I was always thinking, student privilege, like, y'all get weekends, like, you can go out and have fun and socialize, like, you guys can go home and play Xbox if you want, like, while you're playing Xbox, I'm doing wind sprints. Like that's always kind of something I've like thought as like an athlete myself, and everybody's like, oh, like you guys like get money from the university. Every single scholarship is done by donors through the football program. There's not a cent of university money used on the football team, while we raise in over probably $100 million a year for games.
Yeah, and as a walk-on, you basically get the brute on both sides of it. So
Oh yeah, that's always been really fun. Where I'm out and I'll see somebody and they'll be, you know, not very happy with, for some reason or some other reason. They're like, oh, like we're tired of paying for your schooling. Like, first off, like I got a lot of loans going on.
I'm tired of paying for it as well.
Like me too, bro. But like at the same time, like none of the money that people pay towards tuition goes towards football scholarships or anything like that. Like it's never been that way, and that's like a common misconception with the rest of the student body, that they don't per se see at the same level as me and you and other people who are more confident with the football program. They just see, oh, they get this, they get that, as opposed to what are they sacrificing and where are they getting the stuff from that they do.
Right. So, do you think that process that you just talked about weeds out the walk-ons at a higher clip than, you know, a scholarship player? And how many walk-ons have you seen through your time at Penn State, you know, kind of fade out and say, hey, you know, this isn't worth it at the end of the day? And how many of them kind of just gave up?
I think the people that are with the program and stick with the program are the people that are meant to be there in the end, whether it's a walk-on or a scholarship. Obviously, walk-ons have a little more trouble because there was sometimes maybe they weren't at a competitive level that they needed to in high school to be a Division I scholarship guy, or maybe they didn't do the certain extra things. But you've also seen walk-ons have more success than scholarship guys.
Right.
I mean, Heisman winner last year, walk-on, Baker Mayfield. It's all about, and it's always been my constant point with everything, it's all about how far you push yourself personally, as in compared to where people say you should be. So you have scholarship guys too that, I mean, they don't want to deal with it anymore. I've seen people walk away from scholarships as freshmen, and that scholarship is worth $100 and something thousand. It's an out-of-state tuition, it's an in-state tuition.
Right.
And they just walk away from it because they don't want to put in the effort. I mean, me, the person that I am,
Yeah.
you put $100,000 in front of me, I'll do damn near anything.
Right.
You know, it's the way that I am. It's the way that I was raised. Like, these people walk away from it, and like I respect their decision, but at the same time, that's a very, very nice thing to have. So I see walk-ons to the point where they're like, okay, well, I don't really have that sometimes, so I'm not really leaving all that much. And they go on to do great things. I mean, they get their business degrees, they go to Strier's College, they do all these different things that are excellent, are going to put them in a great position to be great CEOs, fathers, leaders, bosses. But at the same time, it's a combination of everything where you weed out the people that aren't meant to be in the program,
Right.
regardless of their walk-on or scholarship.
Well, and that's a good kind of segue to, I know, Kyle, you want to ask this question, or some variation of the question on the recent, you know, all the recent exodus of people leaving. Kyle, do you want to take a shot at that?
I don't know. Just there's a lot of concern about it. A lot of fans saying that Penn State has a lot of transfers. And with that being said, I think they have 5 more than every other university in the nation, if I'm correct. So with that being said, there's a lot of concern surrounding the program. Is it because with all the work that goes on around, you know, a lot of the time and effort that you put in and an athlete put in, plus you're in difficult conditions and everything, is it fun to play here? Should that be a concern from a fan?
No, not at all, actually. So
the more transfers, that shouldn't be a concern from a fan.
No, not in any way. The way that I've always kind of looked at it, and I'm very good friends with a lot of the transfers. You know,
Right.
Juwan, B. Polk, like all these guys, Jarvis, like they've all been good friends of mine for multiple years. And what it comes down to is they just see a better opportunity at different locations, and that's really all it comes down to. I mean, these players play; they're good players. You know, like they're not some guys that like haven't been on the field or like don't have an opportunity to be. There's players each year that will leave for that reason, where they feel that they're out competed and they're out they don't really have a shot. But there's players that are leaving because they just see better opportunities. I mean, they would stay here and they would start and they would play. But at the same time, if they see an opportunity, or even for personal reasons, you know, I mean, there's players out there who need to leave because of family concerns and stuff like that. And that's all within the program and our own business as to who that is and who that applies to. But at the same time, it's a matter of players just doing what they feel is best for them. And that's what you do when you commit. That's what you do throughout your college career. That's what you do for the rest of your life. You have to put yourself in the best position to succeed that you can possibly do.
Was it always fun for you as a walk-on? You know, I know people that have walked on football programs all across the country, and a lot of them have always been treated or felt they've been treated like, you know, the punching bags of the program to a certain extent. Was there a point where you just felt like, hey, like I am kind of just another body, another dummy, you know, another man for the program to actually just keep running more than anything else?
I wouldn't say so in that sort of way. I know when you're a walk-on, you know what you're coming into in a sense, so you know you don't have that opportunity necessarily right away to start. But you do, but you don't. So you have that opportunity to come in and win that starting job just like everybody else. Is your mountain a little steeper? Yes. Is it a lot steeper? Probably. You know, you look at our kicker situation this year. We had a walk-on doing kickoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a freshman. He just popped in fresh, you know, whatever they call it, like green behind the ears, stuff like that. But like, he was a true freshman. He didn't know he was going to come here and start like that. He just came in and put his head down and he worked. Same thing with our kicker. He was a scholarship guy, but he came in and worked. You know, there are a bunch of guys here that were older than him. Blake can kick field goals. You know, Blake's a very good kicker. He's a better holder, but he can kick field goals too. But
right.
We need people to play where they can benefit the team the most. So that's kind of like where that, I guess, does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. I just find it, I guess, impressive that you guys are able to basically work the same amount or sometimes even more than people that do have scholarships when really nothing's been promised to you. I mean, you worked 3 years without ever seeing the field, without having any sort of, I guess you could say, glory or attention or any true, I don't know,
gratification for being
Thanks.
you know, an impact player for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way that I've always looked at it too is your end result doesn't matter. It's all about how you get there. You know, how much would I have learned if I went in my freshman year, thought, oh, you know, this isn't for me, and left? How much would I have really taught myself about life, about the experiences I'm going to have, how I'm going to deal with issues and stuff when I'm a husband, a father, those sort of things, if I were to just get up and leave like that? And that's just, it's not the way I was raised. I mean, I always kind of relate everything that I do to my parents and like the way that they've been, and like they work their asses off. At one point while we lived in Jersey, they were both working over 80 hours a week. And that's, I mean, I've done that to myself the same way. I mean, over summer, I was working till 3 o'clock in the morning, waking up for 6 o'clock workouts. And like 3 o'clock in the morning was like a nice morning for me. Like that was like, oh, like I get to go to bed early.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of pushing myself to that next level, to seeing where I could go and realizing that, you know, like it sucks now. Like it sucks waking up on 2 hours of sleep. It sucks like working out on 2 hours of sleep. But at the same time, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. Like I'm not concerned about anything that comes my way.
Well, yeah, and you're definitely set up for a lot of future success. Like you said, you're not going to go through much worse things than you've already gone through, and that's fantastic. And that's actually a good point. I want to show you the moment you were awarded a scholarship. Now, at this point, did you know you were ever going to get a scholarship? Was there ever any talk about, hey, you might get a scholarship at some point, or is it like you're just going to walk on forever?
I mean, I was very hopeful. Obviously, like I knew that we were pretty much at capacity with scholarships, so I tried to put it out of my mind just so I could go to work, not think about it, you know, go in, do my bar stuff, wake up the next morning, go to football, and just like get into a routine. Because I mean, that's what I was taught to do. You know, you don't ask for anything, you work for everything.
Right.
So that's kind of exactly the mentality that I had about it all.
When's the last time you watched this?
Oh man, 2-3 months ago, probably.
All right, a couple things that I need real quick. Jobs. Who's working jobs right now? Vasey? Hey, listen up. What? What are you telling me? Hey, yo. What days of the week?
4 or 5 days a week, from 8 p.m. to like 3 a.m.
5 days a week from 8 a.m. from 8 p.m. to what?
3.
So how many hours a week you doing?
25, 30.
Quit. You're on full scholarship. Yeah!
that like? What was that moment for you like?
It was really cool. It was cool to see all my teammates like that excited and that like motivated by that. And it was really cool just to kind of be that example for everybody else, just to like keep your head down and keep working. You know, those are kind of the first 2 things that kind of like really hit me about the whole entire experience. You know, I mean, a month later, like I got my first stipend check to like help. I mean, it paid for my rent and like my parking spot and all that. So that was like nice. Like,
that was probably just as nice.
I was shopping. I was sitting there in the nutrition bar, like drinking a protein shake, and it goes like direct deposit of so and so amount in your account, and I'm like, what? Like, what is this? And I was like, guys, is this the right thing? And they're like, yeah. They're like, how's it feel? I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm gonna go pay rent. And they like kind of looked at me weird, like, you're gonna pay rent for, like your first scholarship amount. So
that's fantastic.
And it was cool. It was really cool. I mean, I was emotionally overwhelmed at the moment, but like looking back on it, I think my favorite moment of it all was definitely celebrating with my teammates, thanking coach, and then calling my family. So that was pretty awesome.
You truly had no idea?
No.
Really? That's incredible.
I don't know, I was getting kind of pissed off because he's like going around like asking everybody how much they're working, and there's people like, oh, I'm doing like 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I'm almost full time. He's not gonna pick on me, and I'm like sitting in the back with my hand up, and he's purposely skipping over me. And eventually, he finally gets there again. I was like, oh, finally. And I was so tired from the workout too, I could barely talk. I'm like trying to think of like the answers to his questions because we just got done doing like a sprint workout. Like you can see us, we're all like sweaty and just tired, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
And I will watch those scholarship awarding videos forever, for like the rest of my life. Like someone wants to put a 6-hour montage of scholarship awarding videos together, I'd watch them all. Like they are
across all sports, across all colleges. Those are very special moments for a kid, you know, who puts so much work into a program and gives so much heart. That's something that, you know, you should be proud of, and to, you know, give them a scholarship on surprise like that, is you see the raw emotion. I think we truly appreciate that as fans of the program.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was cool. You know, I'm always happy for everybody who gets awarded a scholarship who's a walk-on. We had Jan get one this year, which was really awesome to see. We had Charlie Schumann get one too, which is again awesome to see. Yeah, I don't know, it's incredible. It's life-changing, and for me, it's more about just like the trying to think of the right word for it. It's not necessarily the satisfaction, but just like the acknowledgement by like your team and your coaches that like you've done everything the program's asked you to do,
right?
And that you were worthy of that.
That's gotta be one of the best feelings in the world.
Like, don't be wrong, like it was nice to see the direct deposit, but it was also really nice to like hear that from coach. And like I went up after this workout and like went up and thanked him in his office and everything. So it was just really, really awesome.
Yeah, you really can't put many words to it. You really can't. I mean, you worked your ass off for it. You really did. And again, it was cool for me to see when this happened. I was like, oh, hey, let's go. Like, because, you know, I knew who you were. I was like, you know, this guy was showing me alongside videos, like I said, so long ago. And for you to get that moment, I mean, that's special for sure. But unfortunately, your exciting moments are over because I'm about to play you a Mario Kart. And you are going to get destroyed.
He's really good.
I've never played it, though.
So, I thought I was good, and I was talking smack earlier. He whooped me.
So
it was unreal.
Have you ever played a Nintendo 64 before, by the way?
No.
Oh boy.
Look at this. Here we go.
Which one's gas? Alright,
so
all I need is
first off,
gas,
make sure you never played on Nintendo 64 before.
No.
Okay, so you want to hold your left hand on this one, and your right hand on this one. Don't really worry about the left side of the.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. A is gas.
Gas.
The button down here on your left index finger is to shoot like your little gem things you get.
Okay.
And if you like just touch this one every once in a while, you can drift as you turn, and you use this to turn.
I don't use brakes. I got you.
Yeah, you don't even worry about that. As you were showing us how to long snap with a football, I am showing you how to play Mario Kart.
Perfect.
I'll let you choose. You can be whatever character you want. How about that?
I'll be this dude with a hat.
Toad, there we go. Good pick.
So, for people watching on YouTube, we are gonna. I'll be on the top. Kyle will be on the bottom.
I'm getting nasty glare.
Yes, I mean you can move over. Yeah, we can. If you want to cuddle, we can cuddle. But I need to still talk to you about football things. So you're gonna have to be able to do both. So you're ready to do both.
Gotcha.
And I'm gonna fire them off at you as we play this here. Maybe I need to turn the TV volume down. But if you had to choose one moment, you can't choose your scholarship awarding moment. What was your favorite moment being part of the Penn State football program?
I'd say my first year going over to UCF was really incredible. We played them in Ireland, so that was a really cool experience for me.
Yeah, that was I regret not being able to go to that. I actually was living in Alaska at the time.
Really?
And I think the game came on at like 3 in the morning because usually they're 4 hours behind as it is. And so that game was at 8 a.m. I think. And so I was up at like 3 in the morning to watch the Ireland football game. But that was Coach Franklin's first win. So what was it like being around Coach Franklin at the beginning? And has he changed at all since, you've known him his whole time here, which is kind of a cool fact. Has he changed at all? Like what has the message changed, anything like that?
No, the message has always been the same thing. We have our 4 core values which are gonna stick until he's gone. So it's really been incredible to have that. I'm trying to think. As far as him as a person, no, can't say he's lost any less hair, but he's doing awesome. I really have grown to appreciate him more and more each and every year, just on the kind of person that he is and everything that he does for the program. So he's a truly incredible guy. I've always enjoyed working with him.
What about Coach Huff, Coach Galliano? Talk about their similarities or differences.
So their similarities are both very competent coaches. They're very good at what they do, and they've always been just generally nice people to our program, to our guys. I've always looked up to both of them as leaders of the team. As far as their styles that are different, I'd say Galliano's a little more aggressive. He has a little bit more of I don't want to say a special teams background, but he's been more involved with other programs and stuff like that. So their styles are a little different. Could that be you?
You just beat me.
That is a big win for Kyle.
I'd like to say, clearly he's found time to play racing games, at least very little. But I would like to point out that I had to turn the volume down as an excuse, and you will not win the next one, so don't worry about it.
I'll take my one win. There we go.
So, what about players? So what's Blake like?
Blake's a clown. I call him my little sister. It's just kind of how me and him have always interacted. We've been very good friends since the start of the program, so it's been nice to kind of have him and see him grow as a person. There's a picture of us when he first got there. It's just really funny to look at.
And he's a Georgia boy, right?
Yeah, he's a Georgia kid, so he wasn't really used to the weather or anything like that. So he that's his only complaint ever. He's a really positive kid. He really keeps his head on straight. He's very humble about everything, so it's cool to see that. Like I said, the only thing that really bothers him is the weather.
The weather?
Yeah, and the colder the air is, it's funny. The colder it is, the less far you can punt the ball.
That makes sense.
Due to just like air pressure and stuff like that. So it's been really funny to just have him around and kind of hear his perspectives on everything. He's a very sarcastic guy too, so it's great to have him in the program.
Was it when you had Danny P as your punter, earlier on?
Mm-hmm.
Was it different changing punters at all, or is that not something doesn't really matter who's catching your balls when you're snapping?
So for me, it was a little different just because Danny P is a left hip guy.
What does that mean?
So it means when I snap to him, I'm aiming for his left hip, whereas opposed to Blake, I always aim for his right hip.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different for me, but overall, it's just a matter of placing the ball where it needs to go. So it's very routine.
Now, when you punt the football, I'm pretty sure in college no one can line up over top of you, right?
They technically can't, but they always do.
They always do anyway?
Yeah.
And how much, they can't hit you until you put your head back up, or what's the rule on?
So that's what they're supposed to wait for, yeah.
So
supposed to, do they?
No.
But it's on call every time.
I'm totally fine with it, honestly. As long as they're obviously not trying to jump over me or anything like that, because then I got to try and do some stuff. But I always like that extra hit and that extra, effort by other teams.
Now, once you snapped it, what was your role and responsibility on punts? By the way, I did win that one.
I was right behind you. We had the same time, look, 29, 29, 20. Right? Oh no, that was your line.
Close race.
I'll take it.
So What was the last question? I just messed that all up.
Well, what's your responsibilities
Thank
after
you.
you start? Well, I mean, obviously you gotta protect, but
Usually, I think
like, what's your assignment?
usually you're one of the first guys down there, right?
So in college, I was a free release guy, unless otherwise specified. So I'd run down the field and just really try to front up the returner, slow him down, take a shot to one side or another. And then with and I'm trying to think. In NFL, I'll be required to block before I go down the field.
Okay.
So that'll be fun. I'll do that. I don't know when I did that, but and then I'll be required to go down the field and make a tackle, obviously make some different decisions and all that. But it's not that bad, honestly. It's really routine for me at this point, just because I've practiced it for so long and done it all for so long. So I'll be ready for it when it comes.
The distance for how far back the snapper or the holder is for PATs and for field goals, does that change at all from college to NFL?
That varies based on the team that you're on.
Okay.
So for us, we were always an 8-yard team, which allowed for a little more.
That's usually a yard more than most people, right?
Yeah. So you can range between 7 and 8 yards. Some teams do 7.5, some do 8, some do 7. It all really depends on what your kicker prefers.
Okay.
So for Jake, to give him a little more height, we'd back it up a little bit, so when the ball came off the line, the trajectory was different.
Right, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, it was really just a matter of that sort of stuff, and I'm comfortable doing it at any distance.
Right. So you've been practicing. Have you practiced from 9 and you practice from 7, and it doesn't make a difference at all, do you?
I only go up to 8 because that's the farthest you'll go in the NFL.
Okay.
But I stick to 8 just because I know if I'm good at 8, I'll be good at any of the shorter distances. And with my laces, I can change that just based on hand pressure. So I'm not too worried about that either.
That's incredible how the science behind it is something I did not know at all.
Yeah, no, it's really something that I've always just kind of applied to myself and just kind of got done.
So you've been to a lot of bowl games. They seem like the most fun because you guys get free gifts and you guys get free spending money, and you've been blessed and been able to play in a lot of different really cool places. Do you have any great stories that you can share from that experience?
Just overall, I loved every single experience that I've had so far, whether it was California or Florida a couple times. New York was really cool. I just really enjoy the experiences. You get to enjoy the whole entire time with your teammates and just like really get to like delve into them more as people.
Right.
And a different environment too, which it's always really cool to do that. I got to travel to places I've never been before. I mean, Croke Park, Ireland, New York City was cool. I've been there a couple times, but Los Angeles, California, the Fiesta Bowl was in Arizona, right? Arizona, I think.
Yep.
So Florida, just all these different places that I personally never would have gone before. So that was incredible.
Right. And did you were talking kind of about location. You were talking about how you can't punt the ball as far in certain temperatures. How much does the temperature affect you when you're snapping it?
So for me, it doesn't affect me at all. I mean, my fingers get a little cold, but I've learned to kind of look at my fingers based on how cold it is and see the color that they are and realize how much pressure I'm applying if I can't feel my fingers.
Really?
So
you can't feel your fingers.
Wait,
that's how
so
cold it is.
You're telling me you look at the color of your fingers and you can tell how hard you need how much pressure you need because you can't actually feel the football.
Yeah. So I can usually look at my fingers like, I mean, you'd recognize it. If you're pushing your finger down, you can see it's a little bit different of a color based on the pressure you're pushing. It's more red, this or that. So that's something that I've always kind of just done just because of the cold weather and stuff like that. So
that's incredible. Did you know that?
No, I actually have never heard that.
I'm one of the only guys that does that because a lot of guys like to do a really light grip. I don't like that necessarily. I like having a firm grip on the ball.
And you don't wear gloves?
No, never.
All right, but in the coldest games, what's people's go-tos? What are they wearing? Like,
everybody.
Does it affect people, or is it just like, eh?
Yeah, everybody loves the warm weather gear that we get and stuff like that. But me personally, I don't wear sleeves usually.
Is that just a tough kind of thing or what?
No, for me, I just like that. I mean, the cold keeps you alive.
Wow.
For me, like it's just like a matter of staying in it. I'll sometimes I worked for Ohio State last year. That was a really cold game. That was just frigid in every single way. So
I'm literally in the front row with 300 layers on, freezing my butt off, and I see guys like KJ dancing around without a shirt, and I'm like, unbelievable! Like, how can you be doing this?
At the end of the year.
Oh, it's raining too. It's freezing rain. Like, I'm dying, and my parents are dying. Like,
We covered up with Vaseline so that we wouldn't get too cold.
That's incredible.
So that was fun to have, but it was a really cool experience just overall, just doing all that sort of thing.
I'll never, like, when Koa first got here, he looked so miserable in his first couple games. It was freezing.
Yeah, he's definitely not used to it. Well, wasn't at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever has gotten truly used to it. I don't know how you guys do that and not wear the stuff like that. I just looking at looking at the color of your fingers to decide that must be the best story I've heard all day, because that's incredible, man. I don't know how you do that or what. Like, I don't know. I couldn't even think about that. I think I'm about to seal the game here.
Probably. Yeah, like I said.
So we got,
People on the podcast or on Castbox or Spotify that haven't been able to see this butt whooping that Kyle has just received, you should definitely check it out on our YouTube channel, because
you can see me with my first game ever on the N64 also win by a mile.
That is a good win. That was a good win.
it saved your dignity, that's for sure.
Oh,
If I swept you, I would probably be tweeting about it every day.
Let's see, there we go.
There it is, 5th. That's not bad.
Nah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. Well, we only have a little bit more time here. Anything else you would like to say, or if you get a 30-second elevator pitch to why an NFL team should pick you up, what you got?
Yeah, what's next?
So what's next? Waiting here, going to the combine, stuff like that. I really like to go to that just because I realized that I could probably break the NFL 225 record for long snappers. I'm not quite sure what the record is, but I know I could get it.
How many times you
I'm
break?
aiming for 30 on Friday, which is more than most of your offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great.
So that'd be exciting. Trying to think. I guess elevator pitch is why they should pick me. Just overall, you know, coming from the Penn State environment, they've seen what our athletes have done before. They saw the class before me, the class before that. We're always productive. We're always noticed because of where we go and how we attended our school and what we did here. And just overall, I got my best football ahead of me. I really do. So I'm excited for that, and I can't wait.
Well,
There you go.
there it is.
Well, I believe in you, and I'm super excited for what you're going to accomplish and what you've been able to go through as a walk-on. There should be no doubt about your work ethic and what you're going to be able to accomplish in the next level. So we're super excited, and we wish you the best.
Cool. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Well, that concludes our first episode of the Power Hour with Corey Stokey. Thanks for following along, and I'll see you next time.